Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing my first pair of Wesco boots. These are the Wesco Hendrik boot in Bruciato Horsehide. This is the first pair of Wesco that I've ever reviewed. Huge thanks to my buddy Saigon_Bristol, otherwise known as Kai Tron. He's Saigon Bristol on Instagram. I'll leave a link to his Instagram account below. He's got a really good boot collection. Seems to me that he collects a lot of Grail boots. He's going to be using this pair in this year's Stitch Down Patina Thunderdome, which I'm also enrolling in myself. I'll be using a similar pair, I believe. More on that to come in a future video. This is going to be the Wesco Hendrik boot. This is actually a discount boot because of the cut marks on the left heel counter. The dress leather toe caps and edges are inked brown. That's what it says on the box anyways. And I believe he bought these from a collab through Franklin and Poe, and they actually seem to have this boot fully stocked. I will leave a link to this boot in the description below if you're interested in these. So once again, these are the Wesco boots, the Wesco Hendrik boots in Maryam Bruciato Horsehide. The Hendrik is a service boot style with European influences. The upper is made of vegetable tan Maryam TPR Bruciato Horsehide, a beautiful full grain leather that starts off firm but breaks in and patinas with wear, showing off the rich characteristics. The thermoplastic resin is a resin finish, creating a sheen similar to shell cordovan. The Hendrik is built using a superior stitch down construction. Leather is used for the midsole, the heel base, insoles, and for the removable insert. Each pair comes with rawhide and tan laces. So the boot's height is 7 inches. It's built on the 700 Vibram sole. It's got brass eyelets, lightweight brown upper stitching, white outsole stitching, dress cap toes, brown edge sole and heel, includes both rawhide leather laces and tan nylon laces. It's made in Scappoose, Oregon. This is built on the MP95 last. It's on a standard D width. They recommend taking a half size down from your true Brannick device size. Franklin and Poe also sells the Hendrik boot in black CHROMEXCEL. They also sell the Wesco Chukka boot in rough out burlap and the Johannes 7-ounce bran oil tan rough out. All are phenomenal makeups, and I will leave links to all them in the description below. And a little bit about Wesco. Two factors have always kept Wesco boots in a league of their own: the quality of materials we use and the details in our craftsmanship. That's it. We leave no room for compromise and nothing to chance. They currently have a 17-month back order. Custom orders are currently taking over 17 months to manufacture. Wow. Wesco boots are built in our own factory in our own backyard. Every boot is made from top quality full grain leather. The integrity of materials used throughout our boot building process is above reproach. Steel is used where another boot maker might use plastic. Leather is always used instead of cork. Our dedicated Wesco bootmakers work as a team, hand to hand, in a 155-step process that requires skill, strength, and discipline. A shoe is no better than the leather it is made of, and all the leather on the market is not worth a whoop where there is no shoemaking skill. John H. Shoemaker, founder of West Coast Shoe Company. Wesco boots have earned an indelible rough and tumble reputation in the great outdoors almost a century ago when they first appeared on the muddy slopes of Oregon's timber camps. That was in 1918. Today, the same family-owned business builds Wesco boots for loyal customers all over the world, and still from the Scappoose, Oregon workshop. Division Road did a factory tour at Wesco, and they say this history, family ownership, and dedication to the industrial uses of their product remains core to Wesco's identity. Still much of a working man's product, only in the last decade has a focus been paid to the aesthetics, capabilities, and adaptations that can be employed to construct a Wesco that's appropriate for the street as well as the ship, lumber, or steel yard. As many companies chase this newfound style-centric appreciator, however, Wesco has maintained everything from their time-honored craftsmanship, core styling, and construction to their rugged suitability. When you try on, own, break in, and wear a pair of Wescos, you know that this is an unapologetically raw American work boot. The factory remains in the same location that it's been since the 1930s. Processes have become more streamlined and production has increased, though much of the can-do attitude of the approach of maintaining and manufacturing process on the American worker has remained. A central ideal of fitting every foot exactly and the ability to adapt lasts in a bespoke program for industrial workers has become a significant differentiator of Westco to other logging or work boot manufacturers. Whether one has lost part of their foot, has the equivalent of a size 20, or simply has irregular feet, Westco will make it last in a boot for any such stipulation. Much of the production and construction is still done to the preeminent standards of the old ways. Rapid E-stitch down, a thick oak-tanned leather insole, steel shank, corkfield, and another thick leather midsole are all layered atop the specific sole specification. Top quality full grain leathers are bountiful as the toe and heel of the boot construction is double layered. High tension and heavy weight stitching for the upper, coupled with the application of structural reinforcements, amount to a boot that possesses an unassailable durability. The break-in period of a Westco conveys its toughness as it's often suggested to wear a Westco for several hours at a time and ignore the pinching in the forefoot. As the materials flex and soften, it will become a companion that provides increasing comfort, but more importantly to a Westco guy, it will embody a poise and a strength that will not diminish. Alright, so Division Road doesn't currently offer any Westco makeups, but let's have a look at these babies. So once again, this is Bruciato horse rump. This appears natural, but there might be some light pigment added to it. Bruciato is the Italian word for burnt or burned. To me, it just looks like a natural color. Maybe the TPR finish darkens it up just a little bit to give it like a burnished look. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. This is built on the Wesco Hendrik style, which is a perforated cap toe. That's a really unique looking cap toe. The cap toe has perforations as well as quadruple stitched down. It's a true cap toe. It's not cosmetic. Quadruple stitched, really interesting box stitching on the quarter to the vamp. I've never seen a stitching quite like that before. It sort of looks like a maze almost there. Yeah, really thick stitching on the back heel stay. It's got 100 years Westco, West Coast Shoe Company since 1918, stamped into the upper of the outside quarter there. Super cool. It's unlined. They said it has a removable insole. This pair actually came with two pretty cool looking kilties. They kind of look like the squids from Mario Brothers. Pretty nice design though. Jagged kilties there, also in Bruciato horse rump. Quick plug for my website, dalesleatherworks.com. I also sell kilties. I have some TPR horse rump kilties still in stock. I have some fire red and some navy still in stock, so check that out if you're interested. As far as the workmanship goes, yes, so these are 270 degree stitch down construction. The stitch down on these is a little shoddy, though that is a really difficult process to make perfect in Westco's defense. The finishing is just a little sloppy. I see some minor imperfections throughout, and I'll show what I'm talking about. But yeah, a little minor imperfection here, some added stitches here. Nothing I'd be worried about construction wise. Like, all these components are going to hold up. It's just a cosmetic thing. But yeah, a little bit of wonkiness there on the stitch down. Looks like they overlaid the cap toe and stitched the cap toe down here. This area here on both boots seems to be kind of chewed up a little bit. But again, not a structural problem at all. It's on both sides where the cap toe meets the welt. All four of those pieces are kind of chewed up a little bit. I'm sure I personally couldn't do a better job myself. But again, these were on sale, so these were discounted because of the imperfections. Namely, as well, there was an imperfection on the back of this heel stay, as they list on the box there. Yeah, it looks like there's some scarring. Maybe that was a bite mark, or what it looks like to me is it looks like they thought they were going to be able to tuck that imperfection under so that you can't see it, but when they ended up lasting it, it was still exposed. It looks like they probably tried to buff over that to smooth it out, but ultimately they decided that this would be a B grade and they'd sell these as seconds. Now, the other thing that most struck me about these Wescos is I always hear that they run small, or more specifically, they run narrow. Their E-width, they say, is like a D-width. However, when I saw these, I'm like, huh, these 8Ds, these are in a size 8D. When I saw these, I'm like, those look like my size. You know, this is on the MP95 last. Once again, I'm not super familiar with this last. If I were to compare these to, say, a boot that fits me perfectly, the Truman boot on the 79 last, let's get a size comparison here. Yeah, so in other words, the Wesco, though, being in a size 8, I was expecting them to basically look smaller than these Trumans on the 79 last, but they don't. They look like to be about the same size to me. And so these are 8Ds. I see that other shops sell them in an E-width only. Other shops like Standard and Strange, they seem to sell their Wescos only in an E-width because, once again, the Wescos run narrow. Now, I did jump on about 10 months ago now, I think. I ordered some Wesco Mr. Lou, which is their engineer boot, in an 8.5D. And at the time I was worried, oh, did I size too small? Maybe I need to bump up to an E-width. But what I'm seeing here, maybe I sized too big in the 8.5s. All right, so let's get a size comparison to the Viberg 2030 last. 8.5 versus the Wesco 8s. Yeah, the Vibergs only look to be about a half size longer. So in other words, I think the sizing might be consistent between these two brands. I don't know, I'm not super familiar with Wesco, but if an 8.5 Wesco equals an 8.5 Viberg, then in my opinion, the sizing runs more consistent with Viberg, which is more consistent with like UK sizing. Wesco 8D, Grantstone 8.5D, looks like the same size to me. Wolverine 1000 Mile 8.5, 8 Wesco. Yeah, it looks like the Wescos are even still longer. Like, I see the heel counter sort of protrudes. I'm not sure if because this is a second, maybe this heel counter is not shaped exactly as it's supposed to be. Because the heel counters aren't perfectly, they're sort of puckered funny. They're not exactly rounded out, super bulbous. There's like sort of this weird little, I don't know, indent here, which leads me to believe that possibly the heel counter is also a little bit out of whack. But yeah, 8.5 Wolverine, 8 Wesco, Hendrik. All right, Alden Indy, right boot. All right, Alden Indy, 8.5, Wesco 8s. I don't know, you know, these Wesco 8s look to be equivalent to the 8.5 True Balance. So once again, I'll have a more definitive answer, but for now, it looks like the Wescos run a full-size large, which is contradictory to everything that I've heard up till now. Once again, huge caveat in here. I don't know if this is a good representation of all Wesco boots sizing. It could just be that these are seconds and they weren't made perfectly. That might be something to take into consideration. I will give a more conclusive answer when my 8.5D Mr. Lou's get in. All right, so here's some Parkhursts 8.5 to the Wesco 8s. And yeah, like when I line these heel counters up perfectly at the bottom, it to me looks like the Parkhursts are a half size shorter than the Wescos. Take with that what you will. That's just my analysis, what I'm seeing. These 8s are surprisingly larger than what I would have expected them to look like in person. There's some things I missed. So the tongue is fully gusseted. The roll top opening is nicely done, triple stitched at the opening there. We've got a pull tab that extends into the boot. This Vibram 700 outsole is super cool. Oil resist, no mark. Just as an amateur leather worker myself, what I'm seeing here is a lot of kind of sloppy skiving work and or sloppy finishing. Like I see that they skived like this front piece, but then they didn't skive this very far down. Well, yeah, they did skive it, just not very far. Yeah, they skived all the way around, but it's just not very, like some areas look less skived than others, and some of the skived areas look sort of inconsistent, sort of sloppy. That part of building the boot, I'm sure, is very difficult. Maybe they knew during production, like, okay, this is going to be we're going to have to sell this off at a discount because of this cosmetic flaw in the back. And so for that reason, they may not have done as much refinement onto the sole. as normal. Not sure if this is like a super fair reflection of all of Westco boots, but this is just this one pair. Once again, it's a second, so don't judge them too harshly on this. These Westcos normally sell for $700. I think these sold for $400, so almost a 50% discount. Totally worth it at that price point, in my opinion. What do you guys think about these Wesco Hendrik boots? I love them. I think they're super cool. I think they harken to the Viberg service boot look very much. That World War II service boot aesthetic. Super nice. I really, really dig those perforated cap toes. And if this is a Bruciato TPR horse rump, then this would be most likely from Maryam, which does some of the best horse rumps in the world, in my opinion. Completely vegetable tanned, completely beautiful. I can't wait to see how these babies patina up during the Thunderdome. Good luck to you, Kai. I wish you all the luck, my friend. I'm sure you're gonna kick ass. These are patina monsters, that's for dang sure. Another Pacific Northwest maker that I'm just blown away by. Happy to get some Westcos in front of me, finally. This has been a brand I've had my eye on for a very long time. So anyways, thanks a lot for watching, guys. All the links will be in the description below. Check those out if you're interested, as well as for this amazing denim jacket from my friends at Hiroshi Kato. This is their Selvedge stretch denim jacket, and I just can't put the thing down. So link to that also in the description below. That'll do it for now. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I will see y'all in my next video.